What if you don't? What if you fight?
Hey Bible Babe, welcome to the Bible Babe Network. It is another week and another episode, and actually this is the last episode of this season.
Hope you enjoyed it.
So we are excited to bring you this episode once again. Welcome to the Bible Babe Network. This is where we have open and honest conversations, and we are unapologetically breaking stigmas, one conversation at a time. Today's conversation, we are going to be talking about trauma and faith and how that relates to our lives. So like I said, it's going to be a really interesting conversation. So I need you to grab something nice to drink, get you a snack or something to chomp on, and we're going to go into this conversation. I'm super excited. Once again, my name is Jael.
And I'm Connie.
We are going to go into the icebreaker to start off.
Jael, what is one piece of wisdom that is passed down in your family that has shaped your faith or your life?
Funny, I didn't actually think about this. I would say one thing that's always been constant is to just do. When I say just do, like if something is on your mind, if something is on your heart, to just do it.
So not to procrastinate.
Right, to just do it and be consistent. That's one thing that I've been thought my whole life. Just do it and be consistent. What about you? What's one wisdom that's been passed down to you?
For me, it's what not to do. Faith, spirituality. I was raised as a Catholic, and we went to church when somebody passed, when somebody got married, Christmas, Easter. Those are the times that we went to church. So I really didn't grow up with a faith-filled life. However, my life overall, I learned what not to do, how not to speak to people, how not to treat people. And I'm not saying that it was a whole, terrible upbringing, but I was just raised in an environment that it was more of, well, maybe you shouldn't do it that way, and maybe you should do it another way. So that's what I've learned. I've truly learned how to do things differently and uniquely. That's another thing that I really do enjoy is most things about me are very unique.
We also want to extend this question to the audience as well. What's one piece of wisdom that has been passed down to you from your family or people around you, or even one piece of wisdom that you've picked up along the journey of life? So let us know in the comments, and we would love to chat with you.
Today's anchor scripture is, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. And it comes from Psalms 147:3. I think that partly goes into what I had said was shaped my life, is that being brokenhearted and what binds you to their wounds. In other words, my generational trauma is what we're talking about, is kind of what molded me from being brokenhearted from my wounds. And being brokenhearted, a lot of times people feel like, oh, poor you, sorry. But to me, when I think of brokenhearted, I mean, for me, it's when we're broken in order to heal those wounds. So the first key point that we're going to talk about today is about breaking the silence, how the dangers of breaking the silence has created the generational trauma that persists when it's not confronted. So for me, when I'm talking about generational trauma, it's the trauma that occurs as a child when you're growing up, that is passed on through addiction, and that's all kinds of addiction. So I believe that addiction is anywhere from alcoholism to drug use to gambling to sexual assaults, and it's all generational. And when I say that is because I work with a client that her mother was sexually abused, she was sexually abused, her child was sexually abused. Now, is that within God's plan? I don't think so. I think that's just the generational trauma that persists, that is not confronted.
So I just want to counter what you said. I don't agree.
Okay.
So there was this video I watched on TikTok this morning actually, and this lady was talking about how the book of Proverbs made her a millionaire, and she was breaking down the Proverbs, and she specifically broke down, I think Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5 to 6, where it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, acknowledge him in all your ways, and he shall direct your path. And she was saying, and she broke down each word, and it's a very long video. I think it's like close to 10 minutes, but in a nutshell, what she was talking about is that everything that God, everything that happened in her life, God allowed to happen. She said that her parents were drug addicts. They were in the streets, they were selling drugs, and she was like going from one foster home to the other. So her parents never really got to raise her. But being that it says in that verse that, I think, acknowledge the Lord in all your ways. So when she started to acknowledge the Lord, he led her to honor her parents, not just tolerate them or acknowledge them, but to honor them. So the reason why I'm saying that I don't necessarily agree that what you're saying is not a part of God's plan. Sometimes God's plan for us can be very, very messy and sometimes nasty, because how do you explain someone that ends up with a father that molests them?
Well, but
Or-
are they aware of God's plan? Do you know what I mean? Like, is that a faith-filled household that's what I'm saying, is that they didn't have God in their family, in their household. So then how could it be God's plan?
The way I see things is, regardless of if you are Christian, atheist, Buddhist, whatever, God has a plan for each and every one of us, even the people that don't believe in him. That's how I see things.
Okay.
Because to me, that's how it would make sense for someone that does not believe in God to be wealthy or to have a good life or to, excel in life. Or say somebody that's, for example, a Muslim that has lived their life in Islam, and then all of a sudden they discover Jesus. They've never seen Jesus, heard Jesus, or encounter Jesus, but then they start to have dreams about Jesus, and then they come to Christ. So I think that the way I see things is that God has a plan and a will for each and every one of us. Although our actions have, a part to play in it, but ultimately he has a plan for every one of us. And sometimes it doesn't make sense, like I said, because how do you explain the ugly things that happen? How do you explain somebody losing their mom, or somebody dying or losing their child, and all of those things? But ultimately, God has a plan for each and every one of us, regardless of if you're Christian or not, because God is not only the creator and the father to just Christians, he's the creator and the father to all of us. So I believe that as he's created all of us, he's also created a plan and a will for each and every one of us.
Right. I agree with you 1,000%. So what I was saying is that if you don't know God's word, you don't know that God is doing all of those things for a purpose in your life, then that's when you would say, well, this is not God's plan for me. How could God plan to do this? Like this, like you said, I mean, I work with a lot of people that have been sexually assaulted. More than people would really believe or understand that. And I'm talking about sexually assaulted by their own fathers at 3, 4, 5 years old, and initiated into neighborhood groups and whatnot. So it's so at that point it's like, and then to be a counselor and bringing God's word into it, and they're asking me why. So why, I don't know. I don't know why. All I know is that everything that happens to us happens for a reason. Because if I didn't experience all of the things that I experienced, I don't think I would be a good counselor.
Yeah, and it's just, we're both saying the same thing in a way. Yeah, because no, you're just going back to the point of like the bad things that you experienced in your life made you who you are.
Right.
So maybe having absentee parents or going through addiction and all of those things is to shape you to be who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure that everyone could be as forgiving, as understanding as this woman on TikTok.
Right.
I think that is a whole nother level of compassion and understanding and forgiveness,
Yes.
like we were, like I talked about in the Bible and Breakfast
Mm-hmm.
in today's episode, is that it's almost like if we're not able to forgive, now again, like I said, we're not forgetting, but we have to forgive.
To kind of piggyback off of your point, I think that, like you said, forgiveness is for us and not for the person. But when you're in the situation, it's so hard to believe that forgiveness is for you, because you feel like if you forgive someone, it's almost like it's a gift that you're giving them. And why would I give this person a gift if they've done all of these things to me? But like you said, ultimately is for you. And that was a hard lesson that I had to learn, because prior to 2 years ago, you do me, I do you. That was me. But God brought it to my attention that I need to forgive, and I need to forgive because it was taking up a lot of space. It was taking up a lot of space in my heart. It was taking up a lot of space in my mind, and also in our relationship, because I noticed that a huge reason why I always prayed was so that God can destroy the people that destroyed me. And I'm not even going to sit here and like try to be righteous, because I felt there was a time where I felt like God was disappointing me. And the reason why I felt that he was disappointing me is because he kept telling me to forgive. And I kept thinking, why would I forgive if these people have done all of these bad things to me? Like, when are you going to get them?
Right.
Because-
and not only that is how many more times do I have to forgive this person
Right.
for doing the same thing over and over and over again to me?
Exactly.
And that's when, again, our Father in Recreation, Fire, Miracles, and Ministries says, how many times do you forgive?
Yeah, I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not trying to hear that today, tomorrow, not no day. So for even for God to say that to me, it was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. But when I actually did forgive, it this is gonna sound so cliche because everybody says this, but when I forgave, it actually just lifted a weight off of me, because I realized that I was living my life for the people that I didn't forgive. Because whenever I would make decisions, it would be like, yeah, I'm gonna show this person, oh, I'm gonna succeed. I'm one person, like I'm the type of person that I can achieve things just off of spite. I can do so much off of spite. It's actually crazy. Like, I hit the gym out of spite, wrote a book out of spite, went to school out of, like, I can do so much out of spite. But I realized that when I forgave, I no longer felt the need to do that. Like, I'm doing all of the things that I'm doing in my life because I want to, and because that's what God wants for me. And that's what I want to do to please him. So forgiveness may look and sound like you're a weak person, but truly it's for you.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And a lot of times, I also encourage my clients to write a letter to that person. So I've written a multitude of letters to relationships in my life and people that have hurt me, seriously hurt me, as I would feel, right? Like you said, I can do a lot out of spite. I'm going to do this in spite of. I'm going to show you I can. I'm going to, so I wrote letters, and I encourage my clients to also write letters, because it's a way to express what you need to express to that person that you may or may not be able to their face, but it's still a way for you to release it and then be able to forgive and a part of it is, it's funny because I wrote a letter to someone in my life that I wrote a letter to, not only so that I could forgive them, but because I had to forgive myself for my part of how the relationship went awry or south or whatever terminology you want to use, because we all have a part in it, right? It's like everybody has their part in a healthy relationship and everybody has their part in an unhealthy relationship. But I also have to say that with age does come wisdom.
Yes.
No matter what anybody tells someone, I truly believe that. Because what I know now in my 60s, I did not know in my 30s. I did not know. And I didn't know how to express myself in my 30s as I do now as I'm entering into my 60s. So it does come. But at the same time, we're also to a point where if we're able to forgive each other and the situation. That's the other thing. By forgiving the situation because it happened, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent, it happened. And then
Yes.
we're able to forgive myself and I'm able to forgive that person simultaneously. Again, we're not forgetting, but we're forgiving. And it also makes you a healthier person and it makes the other person healthier or not.
Yeah.
Because if they don't come to understand the error of their ways, right, and how they did the things that they did, then that's on them.
That's on them. Exactly.
That's on them. You know, I tell people all the time in my practice that healthy boundaries are clearly for you. Because if I'm exercising healthy boundaries and you're not, sorry, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
But if I'm not exercising healthy boundaries, I have nobody to blame but myself. I cannot blame you because I am not putting forth healthy boundaries to people.
Thing with forgetting as well, you never really forget. But I saw, I think it was a quote or a passage somewhere that says, every time you remember, forgive. And that was one thing that I struggled with because I would forgive today and then wake up tomorrow and remember, be like, oh, okay. Okay. And start all over again. But every time you remember, forgive and remember that it's not for them, but for you.
Exactly. And I think that's also how we can break the generational trauma that we all experience. No matter who you are or what you are, or what life you come from, or where you come from, or the generation that you've come from, there is generational trauma. And if we're able to forgive the perpetrator of that generational trauma, then we're going to be able to break that generational curse and be able to move forward. I actually talk about this in my first journal, about how generational dysfunction clearly just runs rampant if we don't stop it.
Yes. Funny that you brought that up. I know you said that I should do this. So I actually talk a bit more about this. I write poetry, so I recently just released my second poetry collection, which is called I Know What Happened to the Wind. And in this book, I just talk about abuse and trauma and love and toxic love, how love can go from like puppy dog love to abuse. And then sometimes when you're in that cycle, you don't think that you're being abused. You don't think that that's what's going on because you're like, this person loves me, I love them back, woot, woot, woot. And then it turns into this big thing that you're not able to contain. So I talk more about that in this book. The poems kind of reflect those themes. But what I wanted to say also is that in situations like this, when we have forgiven other people, we should also forgive ourselves. We should also be able to forgive ourselves because most times we neglect to forgive ourselves, and that puts us back in the same situation and leads us to the same kind of people, and then the cycle starts all over again.
Exactly. That's what I say in the letters, forgiving the person, forgiving myself, and forgiving the situation. Because I think it's a triangle. You can't do one without the other. I just really don't. I don't think you can. Because that's another, like I said, that's a way to break that generational trauma. Because if you're able to, because most of the times when we're forgiving for the trauma that somebody has inflicted upon us, or we've inflicted upon ourselves.
Yes.
Through our own actions. So that, I think, which goes into a whole cycle of depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot of people say, oh, I didn't go to war. You don't have to go to war. I work with a lot of people that are diagnosed with chronic PTSD, which means that it's repeated and repeated and repeated in different areas of your life. So it's a cycle. And if we don't break that, then we're going to continue in the cycle of, our children and then our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. Because we have to stop it. It's generational dysfunction causes generational trauma.
And which just takes me back to, again, a conversation. It wasn't a conversation. It was what God told me.
It's a conversation.
He was the one talking. Where God told me that trauma limits him. I did a video about it in 2023 when I posted it. It was a bit controversial. Some people were like, oh, nothing limits God. He's the God of the universe. How would you say that? But God really told me that my trauma limited him. And the way he explained it to me is that the way it limited him is because the trauma that I had was that I just could not trust people. So because I could not trust people, I could not trust God. I could not depend on him. I could not rely on him for anything. Yeah, in theory, I knew that he can provide everything for me, but practically, I could not lean on him because every time when I would fall into trouble or something would happen, I didn't go to him first. I didn't rely on him. I didn't seek him out. I was thinking about how to solve the problem. Whenever something happens, I go into problem solving mode. Like, how can I fix this myself? And he told me that I was operating like someone that is fatherless. Like he was like, you're operating like an orphan, like you don't have a father, you don't have anybody that is taking care of you when I'm right here and I just want you to come to me. So that was a trauma that kept limiting me. And because it limited me, it limited like how I thought about my like life, how I thought about God, like how I just perceived God as a person. I said that God is a father, but I never perceived him as my father, as someone that could protect me and take care of me and be gentle with me, be kind with me. And so for me to get to that point, I actually had to work on that. I had to pray about that, and I had to get to the place of healing. Now I say all the time, like, God is a girl dad. Like, he's a girl dad. He's my dad because I've experienced the healing and I've experienced the protection. I've experienced him providing for me at the dying minute. I've experienced him just being a father to me because I was able to open up that door to allow him to be that. So in a way, the traumas that we have, if we're working on healing them, it's not necessarily only for us, but it's also to strengthen our relationship with God.
Agreed. And as you were talking, I'm thinking trust too.
Yeah.
Because if we can't trust that God is going to ... then we're not in a healthy relationship with him.
That's true. That's so true.
Because, faith. Without faith, God can't do anything. I mean, what is the Bible verse? Faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can have all the faith in the world, but if we don't manifest in it and we don't allow God to be limitless,
yes, that's
then
the word.
we're going to continue to go in a circle like the Israelites did.
And even what did Jesus say? Faith as small as a mustard seed. And I was looking up an image of a mustard seed the other day. It's like so tiny.
Yeah.
So you just have to have just the slightest, the smallest thought, like, God, I trust you.
Exactly.
And he takes over from there.
Yeah. I mean, when I went to Israel, I got a container, it's like this big, with mustard seeds in it.
Oh,
and I said to the
really?
guy, how many are in there? He's like, oh, I think there's 10,000 in there. It looks like a little, I mean, it's not big, it's small little vial. And I was
Wow.
like, wow. And somebody said to me one time, why don't you count them?
How would you? Why don't you
They're
count
like a
them?
speck of dirt. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you count them?
You spend all day counting mustard seeds.
But that, I think, also talks to the faith that you have, that there
Yeah.
is 10,000 in there.
I just find it really really funny that Jesus would compare our faith to that.
Well, but think about it. If we don't, how many times did Jesus encounter people that had no faith? And what he was saying to us is, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, then it will grow.
Yeah.
But it has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Just like breaking the generational trauma, it has to start somewhere with someone, right? Because if that's, when we do that, then we're able to be a part of, the growth.
Yeah. Of starting a new generation,
Exactly.
Because-
And getting away from that disbelief, getting away from that fear, that sadness, that helplessness. You were talking about the woman on TikTok. How helpless did she feel? How
Yeah.
hopeless did she feel when she was going from one group home to another to another? And a lot of times people are like, oh, those are dangerous places. Well, so is Auntie's house.
Yeah. Even more dangerous because
Exactly.
your family members, when they are the abuser, it's it hurts even more because they're familiar.
Right.
In every generation, there is always one person or sometimes more people that are some way, somehow selected to break the generational curse. And being on the end of that, I can say that it's a lot because it's like going from what you've known your entire life, even if you know that it's wrong, and but you've lived it so for a period of time that has been your truth, to learning later on in your life that that is not the way to go, that's not what you're supposed to do. So now to have to unlearn that, to undo that, to start basically a new generation and to start over is a lot, and it's hard, and sometimes it feels like why am I the one? Why am I the one? Why do I have to do that? There's been many times when I've like broken down and just thought to myself, like, I just want to live my life. Like, I tell God, I'm like, I'm just a girl. I just want to live my life. I don't want to have to worry about any of this. But then if not you, then who?
Exactly. Exactly. I was just going to say that. So I say that a lot in my practice, is that people will say, well, I don't want to. Well, if you don't, then who's going to? And that's, to me, is one of the purposes of being in therapy, is that you're given the tools to break that generational trauma, that generational dysfunction. You know now how to manage through that gambling addiction, or how to manage through that drug addiction, or that eating disorder, or because a lot of times people will be like, oh, well, why are you overweight? Well, people eat out of emotions.
Yes.
People eat out because they feel that they're protecting themselves from the sexual predators. They feel, I mean, there's many reasons, but you are the reason why, because you are strong enough. That's the other thing. I think God, if you're chosen, yeah, you can shake your head, but if you're chosen, God has chosen you for a reason, for a purpose. He's chosen you. And a lot of times people say, well, I don't want to be chosen. Sorry, oh.
Okay, well, I don't want to be a chosen one.
We're chosen to break that generational curse and that generational dysfunction. We're not given a choice. God doesn't say, hey, do you want to? No.
Yeah.
Because you're the strongest one of your family. You're the strongest one of your generation to be able to break that generational dysfunction. I mean, I'm the only one in my family that has a master's degree. The only one in my family that has an education.
Like, I just want to be breaking generational curses, like, that's going to give me soft life. Like, let me be the first one to, I don't know, travel to Italy. Like,
But who's to say God isn't going to give you that? I mean, I'm the first person in my family that traveled to Nigeria. I'm the first person in my family that traveled to Israel.
Yeah, but I want it to be only that. I don't want
So
I don't
you want
want
to pick and choose what generational dysfunction you break.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you hear that, sir?
Because it sometimes I feel like, because I'm constantly working on myself, that things just keep popping up.
Because you're a role model. You're a role model to you, and you're a role model to others. You're there to do that. And you may not know, because people say it all the time to me. They'll be like, well, you don't know, because sometimes I'll be like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And then people say, but thank you so much. You meant so much to me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that to me. I hear your voice in my head. And for me, I'm just doing my job, like
Yes.
you. I see you rolling your eyes. You're just in there doing what you do with those kids. But you have no idea how you're impacting their lives. You have no idea.
So basically what you're saying is, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Exactly.
Okay.
We will be the most rewarded in the end.
I hope so.
Amen.
Because I was telling my friend, like, I'm tired of healing. Like, I want to I want to traumatize people back. But I'm not going to do that.
Of course
But
not. Of course you're not.
She said,
gonna
of course
do
not.
that.
Like, so much faith in me. Yeah, I'm not
Oh,
going
I
to do
do.
that.
I have a lot. No, you're not. You're not going to harm anybody back because that's not your personality. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
when people say hurt people hurt people. No,
Yeah.
I think hurt people that aren't healed.
Mm.
Because if you're healed, then you're not going to hurt people.
Wow. That's actually so profound.
Thank you.
I'm going to frame that.
Okay.
She said, thank you. I think we have said it all. You think?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great last episode of the season for sure.
Oh my God, we're done with season 1, guys. I can't believe it. So, key takeaways from this conversation. For me, heavy is the head that wears the crown because that's just where I'm at. And trauma, I don't want to say that it is normal.
I wouldn't classify, well, I don't think anything's normal. I think
Okay.
that's a very, like perfect. That to me, it doesn't exist.
Okay.
I think everybody has their own sense of what is.
Okay.
So, and that's why I'm a huge proponent of, like I said earlier, about writing letters. I write letters all the time. I have a lot of deceased family members in my life that I need to communicate. My father, my mother, my aunt. Those are key people in my life that I choose to communicate after their passing. So I write letters to them. I also, I'm a huge proponent of journaling because I believe that journaling is a way to actually process anxiety because you remove the thought from your head and you're putting it on paper. I actually have a work journal that I use if I can have time, after every session to purge because of the hurt and the trauma that I hear on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I have to let it go. So I purge it and I journal it. And I also have a personal journal. I actually have a gratitude journal that I'm great. One thing I'm grateful for, and how does that gratitude help me into the next phase of my life? So I'm a huge proponent of journaling and therapy. I'm in therapy. I couldn't possibly be a good therapist without being in therapy. And like I said, healed people don't hurt other people.
Yes.
So, and
I
pray.
think that is the takeaway. Healed people don't hurt other people. That's it. Verse that we are leaving you with is Psalm 147 verse 3 says he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. So if you have time this week, reflect on that and meditate on it and pray on it as well. And we are officially done with season 1.
It's a wrap.
We did amazing, I think so.
I agree. We got off to a little kind of rocky, but with faith, we moved forward.
Yeah.
I'm very, very pleased with you, and I appreciate you.
And one thing I want to say is that we are so proud of this community. Like this is amazing. We actually did it.
We did.
Yeah.
I mean, and think about it. We've had a lot of feedback throughout the season, and that we're two different worlds, we're two different generations, and yet we have come together as one to provide, I think, a space for open, healthy conversations that really needed to be had, and we gave the space for it because I believe that your emotional wellness and your spirituality are one.
Yes. And once again, none of this would have been possible without all of you beautiful people. So thank you. And if you're not following us, this is the perfect time to follow on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at the Bible Babe Network, and YouTube at the Bible Babe Network. And we are also available on every audio platform at the Bible Babe Network. We also have a goal to get to 2,000 subscribers. And we would love if you could please share with your friends, your family members, even your enemies. Let them come and be healed because they probably need to be healed. So share with them. The more people, the better. Once again, this is all for community and this is all for us. So the more you share, the better for everyone.
And please comment, questions, add, subtract. We want to hear from you because this is for you as much as it is for us. So help a babe out and subscribe.
Subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this season. We will be seeing you in the next season by God's grace. Stay
Amen.
safe, and we love
Stay
you all.
emotionally well.
Right.
Bye.